Hey, this is HK Perrin, and you're listening to Echoplex Media. Check out The Plex live every Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/Echoplex Media.
Don't forget to follow us on social media for beautiful food and inspiration.
Welcome to Downballot. This show is back to its OG time, 7:30 p.m. Pacific on Tuesday, right here on Twitch, twitch.tv/Echoplex Media. We're going to do this almost every week, but there is an open mic that I like to go to sometimes on Tuesdays, and we may take a week off here and there so that I might do that. Though you might even not even notice that as a podcast listener, because we might just record this fucker some other time and send it out to you. Anyway, after the show, we're going to start doing something called public comment, which has been sort of a big part of this network anyway. We've been watching a lot of city council, board of supervisors, and school board meetings. But we've sort of stuck to Orange County, Maricopa County, sometimes stuff in the South Bay, like the 408 area, and obviously Shasta. But if you live in a place where sometimes shit just gets a little bit spicy at your local government meetings, please do either email us at echo@echoplexmedia.com or join our Discord, discord.me/echoplex, and just drop a link to your local meetings in the public comment channel on that server. I'm producer Dave. You can find me on Grindr.
And what's up, everybody? This is the Councilman. You can find me at THE_Councilman on X, or you can also find me in the club, bottle full, above my mouth. Got what you need if you need to feel a buzz. So I'm happy to be here as always with you, producer Dave, and ready to dig into the local derp because, as we all know, all derp is local, no matter where you are. So,
and there's been enough news lately. We were able to do this on Friday and then again on a Tuesday, so that's not bad.
And that's how we roll here in the South Bay. Sometimes it flows like manna from heaven, and sometimes it's just a dead zone. So that you'll know those when we either take the week off or we jump in and do a little commentary on public comment, which is going to start happening, I think, later tonight anyway. So I might stick around for a little bit of that.
Yep. So what do we got for leading off this week?
Well, in case you hadn't noticed, and actually I hadn't, there was a tropical storm that hit California for the first time in like 100 years. Tropical storm Hillary. No jokes necessary or intended. Apparently it was such a very exciting event for everyone here because rain and wind, we never see any of that. People got a little freaky deaky in California and got a little bugged out. I even had a friend tell me, I canceled the trip down to LA, and I'm like, why? He's like, well, Hillary. I'm like, okay. Anyway, so KTVU, our local news station, they decided they were going to go up with the Air Force's hurricane trackers and find out all they could about hurricanes and bring it back to us here in the Bay Area so we could learn things.
The U.S. Air Force was flying right through Hurricane Hillary as it became a tropical storm.
And KTV's James Torres was the only Bay Area reporter to join the Air Force hurricane hunters, showing us what it's like to fly in those hurricane force winds.
You think you had to stand in line? You think there was like a big contingent of news reporters that wanted to get on this airplane?
Oh, for sure. He had to pay like $250,000, like the SpaceX travel. It's a luxury.
Well, at least he went up in the air and not under the water, and he survived.
Just outside the Santa Maria Public Airport, this is usually the home ground for CAL FIRE. They have lots of large aircrafts that respond to wildfires all throughout the state. But today and this weekend, it was the hub for the U.S. Air Force 53rd Reconnaissance Squadron, or simply known, the Hurricane Hunters. We rode along with their final flight of Hurricane Hillary, an overnight exploration proving the storm was weakening and weakening fast. We went up around 6:30 last night, didn't touch ground again until about 2 a.m. The goal, they say, cross through the eye of the storm however many times the National Hurricane Center instructs them to. Each time we cross the eye, that's called a fix. And for our trip, we attempted to complete 2 fixes. The only problem, when the storm is breaking apart, it loses its eye shape. So these hunters actually had a hard time finding the center of the storm. And while we were
There's a joke in there somewhere.
I had a chance to talk to the aircraft pilot, a young man from Florida who says, growing up in a state full of storms, this job seemed perfect.
We're making a great impact to all the coastal areas. And so what we do is we're providing information that really refines the track. So warns people way ahead of time whether they need to evacuate, and so that information gets passed on to the local officials, and then the local officials make the call on whether to evacuate their areas or not. So it makes a huge difference in keeping the public safe, especially on the coastlines.
Thanks, Zach.
That noise you hear, that's researchers sending down what's called a drop zone. It's a tube launched into the storm collecting all sorts of data: wind speed, wind direction, temperature, you name it. They get that data immediately when the tube hits the ocean water, and then that gets sent over to the National Hurricane Center. Experts there will then use that information to predict watches and warnings. For the most part, the flight was pretty smooth. Not that much shaking here and there, a little bit of turbulence, but not as much as you expect when entering the eye of a Category 2 hurricane. And once we're in the eye, we're flying at about an altitude of 10,000 feet, so real close to that surface level. Now, most of these guys, they're headquartered in Biloxi, Mississippi. They're expected to fly back home by the end of the weekend. Reporting in Santa Maria, I'm James Torres.
They cut him off before they cut him off before you could even say that he's with KTVU News.
Yeah, seriously. Or maybe he was with National Fox News. Who knows? And then KTVU kind of like grabbed it. But the headline did say KTVU got the flight. So Yeah, I was expecting a little anticlimactic there, but it's why I think that was par for the course for this storm. Actually, I think we were all expecting a little more, and I don't know about you, but my wind chime went off pretty bad, and my car got rained on enough to be dirty. I don't want to make light of anything. I haven't seen any footage from SoCal and what they had to deal with. God help Malibu, right? But
well, luckily enough, like the worst of it missed the population centers, from what I understand. So, like, a lot of it hit like the desert.
Oh, interesting. Visalia probably got beat up pretty good.
Well, that's just like I didn't like go do any research on this. It's just what I understand sort of from people that I've been talking, like, because I'm active on the website formerly known as Twitter. There are a lot of people in LA and San Diego that are like part of my little circle. I didn't hear a lot from them. I mean, I noticed the humidity, especially yesterday, sure. Humidity. Yeah. Today, not so bad. Yesterday, I noticed humidity.
Yeah, it was definitely warm all day yesterday. From the moment I woke up, and it was wet and moist.
Yeah, wet is fine.
Good wife hates that word, moist.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Not a word for me either.
Yeah, it felt a lot like the East Coast. For anyone who's been to the East Coast ever, or the tropics even, it's felt a little bit like that. So different for San Ho and the Campbell and the Greater Bay Area, but not as much bang for the hype, unfortunately. But you know what? That's a good thing. I don't want to make.
I haven't seen much from Mexico or like Baja where it made landfall, but yeah, if we're not seeing a lot from there, it probably just missed population centers, thankfully.
One would hope, or it could be we're not seeing anything from Mexico, and then there's all sorts of damage going on. We just aren't getting the news. But I think no news is good news, frankly, in this kind of situation. So I do get the sense, and I did get the sense watching like local news reports, not this one particularly, maybe more like NBC Bay Area's coverage, and it was really tough to find like one thing about this because it was just blanket coverage. But I did notice one thing, and it seemed like they just maybe it's true of every disaster. They kind of want more damage. Right? Am I right? Am I wrong in sensing that from local news? They want more shit to go down. They want the floods to last longer and for more people to be put out of their homes and the death tolls to increase so they can, keep putting up the graphics. I don't know.
It's the old saying, if it bleeds, it leads, right? I mean, like they obviously, yeah. And not for nothing, like it's not necessarily the local news, but the 24-hour news cycle is built for a disaster, right? Yeah. It relies almost on there being impending disaster, be it natural or human caused, for their business model and to keep eyeballs on. Like somebody said it, and they were right there. Like 24-hour news stations are built for one thing, and that thing is 9/11.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. They were built off of one thing too. I mean, that really did. Maybe we were headed there and headed here, but incidents like that and things like the pandemic, right, and COVID, they spur these kind of movements, right? These things that have been in flux and in motion, and they spur them and they accelerate them and they catalyze these transitions. So, yeah, definitely a different world. And I don't mean to imply that these producers are sitting around like, yes, let's have more people die. It's more like they're not upset. All that they're not as upset as they would be if it was like their relatives. If the death toll rises, if the destruction is just catastrophic, right? It's good news. It's good for them. It's good for ratings, frankly. So they're not going to complain about it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying they're rooting for it. Yeah. And I mean, it's just the business model, right? Like the more eyes get on your stories, the more advertisers are willing to pay for the advertising spot. It's pretty messed up, actually. Yeah. It's pretty messed up. It's ambulance chasing in a different way. Anyway, but that's leading off. So hope you all survived. Hope your pets are all well and healthy. And we'll see you around the next one. Next time we have a tropical storm in California. Probably next year. It's entirely possible. Given where climate change is at, could be the new normal, right? Not the outlier. So we're going to move on to winners and losers. Yada yada yada. There are no winners. What's going on at James Lick High School in San Jose? Dude, I do not know, but apparently there's roving gangs of teenagers randomly coming to campus to beat up kids and stab them. Oh, that's all I know. And so parents are not really excited about that. So they had a meeting.
If it's true, I would find it a little less than exciting. But as these stories often go, it's probably a bit overblown. I'm just gonna guess.
We'll see a video. We'll see.
Frustrations are boiling over at James Lick High School in San Jose. Parents and at least one teacher say their school is increasingly dangerous and something has to change now. The outrage comes after 2 violent incidents just since school started a few weeks ago. Here's NBC Bay Area's Damian Trujillo.
San Jose police say on Thursday, several intruders entered the James Lick campus and stabbed 2 students. Both are expected to survive.
My students were texting me from their classrooms.
It was the second violent attack on campus since school started in early August. In the first week, one teacher says a mob of teens and adults came to the campus and attacked 2 students and 2 staff members.
I've never experienced anything like the start of this school year.
Mike Gottenby has been a teacher for 25 years at James Lick. He posted this.
Mike Gottenby looks like the one they're not going to try to beat up. I'm just kidding. I'm getting big. I'm getting big. This dude will whoop your ass vibes off of him.
Over the weekend,
wrestling coach,
voicing his frustration and worry.
I believe our school is in crisis.
Over the phone, Gottenby told me he stands by those comments today.
And once again, we were helpless to defend ourselves.
Today, a small group of parents met outside the school to vent.
Said if it was my granddaughter, that it happened to my all hell would have broke loose here. My grandkids and my
She's
kids.
like, I'd burn this mother down.
For my life.
Berta Fernandez and Mike Gottenby both say they want to see police back on campus, but a board member told me they don't believe officers on campus is the answer and says the district is cultivating a positive and supportive relationship with police. Meanwhile, at 70 years old, Berta says she's willing to volunteer to help keep the campus safe.
Oh, damn.
Because these kids
don't fuck with Berta.
And they want me, I'll be here day and night.
Over the phone, the superintendent told me immediate and long-term changes are in the works as the district assesses the situation. And he insists James Lick is not a bad school. Parents we spoke to agree with that assessment.
I want to start off by saying James Lick is an amazing school. I went there, a lot of my best friends. We all have careers, we all graduated from college.
While parents point to needed changes like more security and perhaps perimeter fencing, they say it's up to them to start taking ownership of the school, getting more active on campus, and holding the board members accountable.
We don't have a lot of positive community support here. And what I would like to see come out of this is more parent involvement, community support. Let's go show up to, these students' events and bring them the support that they may be needing.
Police say there still are no arrests in last week's stabbings. Berta Fernandez says she aims to make sure it doesn't happen again.
And I will be back. If anything happens here again, all hell's going to break loose with me. And remember my name.
Oh, my God.
Damian Trujillo.
Oh, my God.
Remember my name, Berta Hernandez. She's ready, man. That Bertha is ready.
I've always thought that it should be very difficult for you or me or just any random person actually to get past the perimeter of a public school campus. It shouldn't be like a fucking Scientology place or whatever where there's fucking like, well, maybe it should be. I think it should be. I have no business there's a school right around the way from where I am. I have no business on the campus. It should be pretty fucking hard for me to get on that campus like during school hours. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. And, unnoticed, you're not going to wander on campus unnoticed, right? Just because there's no walls or fences or, metal detectors greeting you, right? You're not going to go unnoticed. Most campuses, because there's just people, there's just eyes everywhere. And really, we could build the walls or the gates or even just simple, fences, right? And make it and put some layers in place, right? But that also keeps the kids in, right? It traps folks inside campus, and it creates, it just perpetuates, from my perspective, the cycle of violence and the cycle of, this side, that side, your side, my side, and a lot of times the threat comes from within anyway, like students, right? It's not, a lot of times it's not just someone wandering on campus, or it's a student wandering onto campus, right? They were planning this, right? So in the middle of the day they walk onto campus, but it's the calls coming from within the building. So I think we'd be better served, serving the students and trying to treat the underlying causes. But it also it makes sense to have layers, right? And more buffers in place.
Berta is one of the layers. She said, "Remember her name." God damn,
Berta's ready, man. I mean, it's also debatable whether or not having police on campus is worthwhile anyway, right? Especially when in situations like, we saw it in Parkland, or in the Florida shooting, right?
It was Parkland where the fucking where the campus cop like ran.
Yeah, exactly. So,
but think about this. Think about this too. Like, if they don't know what the fuck's going on, there's only one of them. It happens across campus from them. What are they going to do? Like,
right. Yeah, and
they're not Rambo.
Correct. And there's not adequate staffing in anyone's police department really, to police all of the schools adequately, right? To have a patrol on each school, right? Whether it's just the high schools or it's all the schools, right? And you're talking about different jurisdictions. There's 31 school districts in Santa Clara County, 31 and 19 in San Jose alone. Within the state of San Jose, there's not one school district that runs them all. There's 19 overlapping school districts. So everyone's got their own little fiefdom, and everyone's got their own issues, and everyone has their own preferences. So having some sort of blanket policy that allows for something like that, like a big MOU with the police department to say, we're going to have whatever patrol of 4 officers on your campuses at all times, even if we had the staff, it would take so much wrangling and negotiation and bullshit policy making that it would drive parents nuts, and it would take years to implement anyway. So
this also like seems like both of these incidents, people came from off campus. Probably it was probably a mixture of people on campus and off campus who engaged in the attacks.
Yeah,
I've just had
this
to guess.
sounds like something. Sounds like something very targeted to be like looking at it too. It's like, I just don't know many situations where random rogue packs of people, young people or adults or whatever, wander onto a campus and just beat up some random person, right? Like, I just don't see that. I imagine there was something going on here underlying all of this, right? Some sort of underlying beef or problem or, shenanigans, gangs, and then the staff member, whoever it was, got caught up in the scuffle, right? Trying to stop it, yada, yada, right? I don't see this as being some sort of random thing where people are just, kids are just for kicks, just going on to campuses and high school campuses. Like, I'm going to play hooky and go to someone else's school and kick the shit out of someone. I don't see that happening. I just don't. Kids, they're not that random. Never, shit like this is never that random. There's got to be a reason. It might not be a good reason. It might not be. It might be a criminal reason, but there's a reason, right?
And I think that, I think that trying to figure out what happened here might be a really good idea. I'm trying to figure out like what the motivation for this is might be a really good idea, because then the school can sort of determine, okay, well, this is like a one-off thing that was a beef and these people got arrested and we don't have to worry about this anymore. Or maybe something more systemic is happening in the community that needs to be like addressed, and maybe not necessarily by the school. Maybe Berta can go take care of it. Berta could just showed up at people's doors and be like, you stay away from that school.
I think I'm afraid of Bertha. I don't want to fuck with her at all. The school has good leadership, though. I know the principal there, and the team there is very good, and the community is very, at least the alumni community is very strong and very supportive. And those parents seem very supportive. So I think that whatever solution they arrive at is going to be beneficial to the community. It seems like they're in a positive frame of mind. That's good. Good place to start from. But yeah, I think that it, like you said, it'd be very wise in any situation like this to get to the root cause, figure out what that is, and then address that rather than addressing sort of the result, right? What caused this in the first place, and then maybe it is putting up fences, or maybe it is putting up some sort of barriers or some sort of impediment, right, to keep the campus a little more secure, because it was somewhat random, or you can expect it to happen again, right?
When I went to high school, just down the way from where I live now, actually, it was an open campus. And when they opened the campus, I remember the first year I went there was the first year they opened the campus. And a lot of the parents were like, oh, people from other schools are going to come here and start fights. And that never happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure.
To my knowledge, that never happened. And one of the kids, like, we were just somewhere with parents. One of the kids said somebody comes from another school and starts to mess with any of the kids here, and they're gonna wish they didn't. I was like, whoa, that was one of the kids that I didn't really know. You know what I'm saying? Right. It was like maybe like one of the kids I thought was like a bully sort of, but I was like, oh shit. I was like, well, right. You don't want to mess with that kid.
Exactly right. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, or something like that. So good on them for keeping your campus safe. That's got to feel. But
like
good.
None of this happened, and I think this is, I don't know if this is an open campus or a semi-open campus, but whatever this is, if it just happened at the beginning of the school year, maybe there was some fucking beef where people were unable to find the subject of the beef or whatever, and they're like, well, I know where they are now because the school year just started.
They've definitely shut down a lot. Like the open campus concept is just, at least in public schools, most high schools, is just shut down right now for a variety of reasons. COVID certainly helped, but also all these incidences, right? Like it's the first layer. Just shut it down and keep the kids on campus who are there, right, and keep that contained, and then worry about the external threat if it happens.
Oh yeah, I mean, like
open
with all the craziness we've been seeing at school board meetings and stuff, I mean, maybe in places like here where that tension doesn't exist, it might be okay. But like, up in like places where things are a little more divided than the Bay Area, right. Open campus seems like a bad fucking idea.
Yeah, but most of them aren't. From what I can tell, too. I mean, I a good wife and I live in adjacency to a high school, public high school, and yeah, there's actually quite a few. Maybe not. I've noticed an uptick in police presence. At least for the beginning of the school year, before and during the school day, I'd see more cruisers around, which I'm sure is intentional. But I also see more staff patrolling, like the field and the public areas,
looking for kids getting
open areas. Yeah, and even during lunch hour, while the kids are out there, like just hanging out and playing, like they're out there walking the grounds, right, and just keeping an eye on everything. And the kids all have to stay put. Right? They're all kind of stuck there, so you don't see a lot of running around and kids. And we would have kids running around in our yard, frankly, if that was going on, because we're a great spot, lots of shade right across from the school. I'm sure there'd be some kids in our yard just hanging out.
The good wife would be like, here's some lemonade, get the fuck out of my yard.
Yeah, please go the fuck away. I would be that old dude in the thing. Get off my lawn. Get off my lawn. Take the bad baby out there. My baby's sleeping. Get off my lawn.
Well, we'll either keep an eye on this, or hopefully we won't have to keep an eye on this, because maybe this is just a bit of an isolated incident where the tensions might just be high as people start school again. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. That's one of those ones I hope is a one-off. This one, unfortunately, the next one is not a one-off, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, this is a Richmond a spa, and I hadn't heard of Legionnaire's disease in a while. Let's see how NBC Bay Area covers this.
I had to look it up.
The lab results are in. Contra Costa County health officials say deadly Legionella bacteria was found in water samples taken from a jacuzzi hot tub at a day spa in Richmond. 2 people died after visiting the spa, and several other customers became ill. NBC Bay Area's Jody Hernandez has more on the results and the spa with an unlicensed jacuzzi.
Richmond's Zen Day Spa remains closed, and this morning the county formally ordered the spa to remove and dispose of its hot tub after lab results confirmed it's indeed the likely source of Legionnaire's disease that killed 2 customers.
This morning we received final confirmation from the lab of water samples that were taken from the hot tub at the business as it containing very high levels of Legionella bacteria, which means the hot tub was a likely source of infection from this investigation.
County health officials now say they've identified 2 more people who were likely sickened, bringing the total number of infected to 6. Ron Oliver of Richmond is one of the 2 people who died. His wife has set up a GoFundMe. She didn't want to talk on camera, but says she's devastated that what was supposed to be a relaxing day at the spa ended so tragically.
It is so tragic that individuals go to a day spa to become healthy, feel relaxed, and instead get sick or die. And that is really what is tragic here.
Contra Costa County Supervisor John Joya calls the owners extremely irresponsible. The county says the spa did not have a permit to operate a hot tub, and it was a residential unit that was not intended for commercial use.
That hot tubs and pools that are open to the public require health permits to ensure they are safe, properly maintained, and regularly inspected.
Clearly, there was not responsible behavior in operating that hot tub and not getting a permit.
The county says it's now checking with other day spas that have hot tubs to make sure they're properly permitted. They're also developing an app so customers can rate spas and see if there are any complaints. Meanwhile, health officials say they're submitting their reports to the district attorney for possible criminal charges. In Richmond, I'm Jody Hernandez, NBC Bay Area News. Okay.
You know where you're never going to hear about any of this happening is places like Water Garden or like Power Exchange, like these like the bathhouse type places. You're never going to hear none of this in none of these fucking sex bathhouses. You know why? Because those places. No, it's not that you won't hear about it. It's that it will not happen.
Yeah,
those places for both reasons, both good and bad, are highly scrutinized by public health officials. But also, I mean, I've known a few people that have worked at and been management at places like that, and they've been very, there's a lot of people coming in and out of here, and people are having sex. So we got to keep this place fucking spick and span and very tidy. They do testing like of the water, and like they have like outside people come in from labs to do testing regularly and stuff. Because the cities and the counties want to shut the bathhouses down, right? They always have. And so you're never going to hear about that shit happening at these places that you would think are dirty. But then just your kind of average day spa, yeah, I bet a lot of those places are pretty fucking lax on their cleaning and whatnot.
Oh, yeah. Unpermitted spa or unpermitted jacuzzi in a former residential unit, although it did look like a commercial space. So I don't know where the hell the residential unit there is, but yeah, it's very, very shady, very, very sketch. And I've always been, I agree 100% with what you're saying. And I've always been a firm believer that, when it came to like food, right? For example, if a restaurant had some sort of outbreak or some sort of, scandal, some sort of health scandal, honestly, if they reopen and they survive it, they're probably going to be the cleanest place to eat in the world, right? Like the safest place to eat ever, right? So anyone say, oh, you went to whatever Chipotle or something, right? Like, how could you do that? Didn't you get salmonella? It's like, no, they actually probably taking really good care to make sure that no one else gets diseases, because otherwise they will have to shut down, right?
Right, and that's not only their livelihood, but if they care about their employees, which some places do, some places don't. That's the livelihood of their fucking employees, plus their own personal reputation is on the line and stuff. And like what I was saying about the like I just supposed to call them gay bathhouses is that they're already under scrutiny and viewed in a certain way. So of course they're going to be fucking spick and span. In fact, I know to fucking totally straight couples who just go to those places and get a private room for like a spa day because they're like, no, that's the clean one. Actually, that's the clean one where the water is always really nice. The towels are clean and the people are very nice to you there.
Of course, yeah. And this is just another extension, frankly, of issues San Jose has been having and South Bay has been having with unsanctioned, bathhouses and spas in general, just the Bay Area. But and some have been trying to crack down. And then there's also massage parlors and that kind of thing. So it's a shady industry, especially when you're doing these things out of former residential units. So be careful of the jacuzzis you go sit in.
Go to the gay bathhouse one.
Yeah, seriously, like
it's the clean one. I tell you, that's the clean one.
I feel awful for the two people that lost their lives and the people that have been sickened. So sorry for bringing that to bear in the docket today. But yeah, it's more of a PSA. Like mind your shit. Like find the clean spots. If you have any doubt at all, you probably should walk away. That's all I'm saying before you sit down in the hot, bubbly water.
And there's another time, maybe get a recommendation from a friend who goes regularly. And if you pay a little bit more because your friend recommended the good spot, you just pay a little bit more.
I did want to point out that, yeah, that's actually right in line with something I did want to say was she mentioned, they're creating an app so that, other people can alert people to, shady stuff or to, leave reviews about the spot.
We already have that.
Isn't that called Yelp? Like, what the fuck? Or Google? My God. Anyway, they're creating a brand new app just for this.
But like,
stay tuned.
This is like a luxury item. So like, don't cheap out on this. If you don't, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
There are a lot of like really nice fucking places. You might have to drive a ways. There's a couple really nice places up kind of by Walnut Creek, Concord, that are just a little bit outside the city center, where they're like outside, and like these are like not hot springs, but they're springs that already existed, and like there's just all kinds of great options for this kind of stuff. But just understand that it's a luxury item, and you should expect to pay a little bit for it. And if you're paying half of what you think you should be paying, might not be worth it. Just because it's cheap doesn't mean it's a good deal.
100%. And that place did not look like super fancy, to be honest with you. Looked a little shady just from the get. Right. So, especially if they're not willing to show you even just a little bit of what's going on inside. That's like sketch. So be careful, everyone out there, and make sure you get vaxxed and masked before you go in one of those, even if you're going to do it. Your pants are optional, as always.
Well, I mean, you'd be wearing swim trunks or maybe nothing. Who knows?
You never know.
Just a mask and socks. Anyway, it looks like you know how they're like package thieves, like they steal from like your front door.
Porch pirates.
They're the porch pirates. Yeah. Well, it looks like we'll call these there's no word for pirate that starts with L. These are there's luggage thieves at San Jose Airport, and this actually really fucking sucks. Be honest, if say you head out on vacation, you pack your bag, and then you show up to the fucking thing, and you're like, you see somebody walking away with what you think is your bag, and you're like, maybe I'm just being paranoid or whatever.
Right.
And then you realize 15 minutes later, oh fuck, that was bag.
Your bag. Yeah.
Now you're fucked.
Well, we're gonna learn more about what's happening here and what we might be able to do to prevent it.
Noon 11, he got off a plane in the South Bay only to realize someone stole his suitcase right from the baggage carousel. And that bag was on the move heading to East San Jose. NBC Bay Area's Marianne Favreau is at San Jose International with a look at how one man used an air tag to track down his stuff.
Jeff Garcia says while he never did find his suitcase, he did get some of his items back. And he says he's sharing his story to make travelers more aware of what might happen to their luggage. After a trip to Alaska with his fiancee, Jeff Garcia returned to San Jose Friday on a Southwest Airlines flight. But his luggage never made it. It was supposed to be on this carousel in Terminal B. As he was reporting the suitcase missing to the airline, he says he checked the air tag he had hidden inside.
I could see the bag showing on Technology Drive at Highway 87. A few minutes later, it's on Highway 87 going through downtown San Jose.
So Jeff and his fiancee, Gloria, got in a car and tracked the suitcase here to a homeless encampment off Story Road near Highway 101.
We ended up under a bridge where there was a homeless camp.
Jeff called police, who he says arrived more than 3 hours later and retrieved a bag of belongings. Inside, the shirt Jeff is wearing now and an empty box from a souvenir mug he'd purchased at the original Starbucks in Seattle. The rest of his stuff, gone, including his suitcase, similar to this one.
I'm extremely frustrated.
Jeff says his brother-in-law's suitcase was also stolen, and police recovered a few of his items in the same location. Now Jeff wonders if other passengers on his flight had their luggage stolen too.
There were 2 people reporting bags missing from the same flight.
We reached out to the airport, who told us they're looking into it. Police could not tell us if similar incidents have been reported. Passengers waiting for bags at SJC told us they're concerned.
I'm very surprised, that how can people take away belongings that don't belong to them.
Jeff says he hopes the airport will beef up security at baggage claim so other passengers don't have to go through what he did. We've reached out to Southwest Airlines to see if they've had additional reports of this happening to other passengers, but we have not yet received a response. In San Jose, Marianne Favreau, NBC Bay Area News.
So I'm guessing, people that watch this might have thought, oh, the homeless are going to the airport and stealing bags. Here's what I think is probably going on. Somebody ain't homeless going to the airport, stealing a bag and just dumping the shit they don't want near the homeless encampment because there's because it's just a place, that I just could see where someone would do that.
Correct. Like all those people who who live in encampments who have the time to like hang out and stalk SJC baggage claim, right? And then have a car and, if someone waiting for them and grab a bag, take it somewhere. Yeah, no, absolutely. They're just dumping it there. No doubt. You were 100% correct.
I liked how at the up front of the story they said what you can do to prevent it or whatever, and then they gave you shit all during the thing about how to prevent it.
Right. Just like, make sure you grab your bag. It's like, well, yeah, okay. I do know one thing. Like, if they really want to up the ante with security at SJC, they got to hire Berta. I mean, she would not allow any bags to be getting out of there at all, unless you had some ID, right? Well, that reminds me, actually. I mean, you used to fly back in the day, right? When you were a youngster, right? They used to. I remember they'd check. Like you had the bag check, right? You still get one. You still get this little check that says, "This is my bag," and they scan it and they say, "Oh, yes." But that's really if you like they lose it. That's really not. It's not so much like if you get stolen, or or to verify that it's your bag. They used to make you like there was a steward or an attendant at the door at baggage claim, like saying, "Let me check your," like at Costco, "Let me check your bag, let me check your tag." Okay, good, you're good to go, right? They used to do that. They don't do that anymore. I mean, they don't
and it might have been some people probably grabbed the wrong bag and were like, "Oh shit!" Like that.
Dude, it happens now all the time. Like bags look my bags look like everyone else's bags, right? I try to put some sort of like bling on them so that
sort of flare.
It's obvious. Yeah, there you go, flare.
Like you're working at what's that, TGIF?
Correct. Yeah.
So here's a tip, and sometimes especially if you're frustrated about how much it costs to check your bag, and if you're staying at like a reasonably nice hotel when you get to the other end, and I just mean a place with a fucking concierge, somebody at the desk, it might be cheaper to ship your fucking stuff to the hotel than to pay for the pay for your bag on the flight. And then you get to the hotel, your stuff's just in a box. And then if you have a good relationship with your neighbor, family member and lives nearby, whatever, before you leave, you put the stuff back in a box, put a fucking label on it, and drop it off at the FedEx, ship it to your mom's house on your way home from the airport. Next day, because you have more clothes at home. You're not going to take everything when you go on vacation, so it takes a couple days for the stuff to get back. But then, you don't even have to deal with any of that shit, and you just put what you need in your carry-on. I did that when I went to Netroots Nation in Detroit, and it was the smartest thing I ever did because I went to the desk. I said, "Hey, I have a package here. This is my name." And they said, "You certainly do." And all my clothes were just in a box, all folded up, like at the fucking hotel. That I just took the box up to my room. And when I got done, I fucking from my laptop just. You make a label at FedEx, you get a little QR code, you take the fucking box to FedEx, they scan the QR code, slap the label on the box, send it back home. It was the smartest thing I ever fucking did. I would never do it any other way. I know that that's a hassle kind of, but imagine just showing up at the hotel and your stuff's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It'd be nice, right? I mean, it would take a little more, maybe a little more on the planning side, just to make sure you have everything you need in your carry-on.
Your carry-on. I mean, I traveled, my carry-on, I made sure that I had socks, underwear, and a change of clothes in case something happened.
You need to have underwear. It's so important, people. Don't forget to pack underwear. I forgot to pack underwear once on a trip. It was just not good. It was so not good.
Buy some underwear, dude.
I know. I had to go buy underwear. It was awful. I had to, go. It was so shameful.
But anyway, just consider that, especially if you look at your when you look at the flight and it costs $100 to check your bag or something.
Mm-hmm.
It don't cost no $100 to ship a fucking box of clothes across the country. It costs $20.
True.
So, this is also a matter of if you're staying, if it's like an Airbnb, maybe the person who runs the Airbnb would be willing to hook you up with that, but maybe they wouldn't. So you got to check it out. But if you're staying at like a Hilton or a Marriott or one of them fucking hotels you've heard of before, you can absolutely send yourself a package there and set it up to arrive the day before you get there. And then you've saved $80 on your checked baggage if you got a cheap flight, and maybe you spend that to upgrade the hotel so that you can ship your fucking clothes there.
Producer Dave, travel vixen. I love this.
Now, if you're going overseas, the calculus changes and you can't do this.
Right. Well, but we should definitely get this rolling as a closet industry for us. We could send care packages, travel boxes for folks.
Just have an app.
We'd make sure it would have little packing cubes. We'd make sure everything was nice and tidy, and that it would all. And maybe someone gets there and it's all unfolded and put out in the hotel room when they get there, right? We check in for you.
This would be a good thing, actually, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it'd be a great thing for a hotel to offer, actually, to mention. Be like, hey, if you don't want to pay to check your bags, you can just ship your clothes to us in a box, and we'll make sure to give it to you when you check in. Like that'd be a great a hotel ad where somebody shows up and they go, oh, I'm this person and I have a package here, and then they hand them a box with their fucking clothes in it. That'd be a great ad for a hotel.
Let's get it wrong, Thursday. We need to do this. We need to absolutely do this. And we need your leadership. Let's go.
We need to somehow monetize it as well, because I don't know
exactly.
I don't know about you, but I'm not swimming in the dough right now. So
well, you know who is swimming in the dough? Segue. San Jose Police Department.
San Francisco Police Department.
I'm sorry, San Francisco police officers, I should say. They're swimming in it.
If you could imagine, they got paid a lot of overtime to bust this skateboard event that's been going on for years without major incident. Here's what KTVU Fox 2 has to say about it.
Francisco police presence at that skateboarding event back in July at Dolores Park cost a lot of money. The news site Mission Local received information from San Francisco police. It shows the overtime cost for that day was more than $143,000. City also said damage to Muni vehicles cost about $70,000. The police have said low staffing levels have been part of the reason for the high overtime costs for their departments.
Ain't shit would have happened to those Muni vehicles if those cops didn't come bust that event.
100%. I was just about to say the same damn thing. Like, let me see. Did the damage to the Muni vehicles happen before or after police arrived in riot gear and marched down the street like Battleship Potemkin? Like, what the fuck?
Like I said when we covered this initially, my impression of this event, I only went once, but my impression of this event was kind of like family fun for everyone. Like it was at night, so there weren't like young children out there, but there were kids, like teenagers out there with their fucking parents and shit. Like it was like a street party. It was. I don't understand.
I did not see anything unsafe or unsavory happening in any of the footage that I've been shown about the event. So it seemed like a nice, wholesome families skateboarding down the street event. And so what if they didn't have permits to shut down the street? Like, who's going to run them over?
It's
their kids.
It's like Viva Calle without a permit.
Right. Like they're kids. You know? I don't know if Bike Party has a permit. Do they
absolutely.
Get permits?
I mean, there's sort of an implied permit because how are you gonna? Oh, I don't know. That wouldn't go so well if this SJPD started trying to fucking arrest people at Bike Party.
Right. I mean, they publicize their routes, right? They publicize everything that they do. They just don't necessarily get the permits to shut the street down.
You want to see a spicy fucking city council meeting in San Jose with a lot of upper middle class people really pissed off at the cops? Start arresting people at Bike Party.
That was today. They discussed police reforms today. That was the only thing on the agenda that was worth listening to. And yeah, that was all it was a bunch of fucking white savior woke people in the public comment.
Oh really? I might hit that. I might hit that up during the post game tonight.
You might want to. It was pretty spicy. It was nice and fun. And the new council members all got to talk about the people who've been on. We're not on the council during the George Floyd protests. Get to talk a lot about their opinions. So fun times.
Here's some get your shit together from San Francisco. The former mayor criticizes London Breed on her approach to solving the homeless problem. And this could go either way. Let's see what happens here.
Now to the latest on the homelessness crisis. One of San Francisco's former mayors says the city is spending way too much money on this problem. He says despite Mayor London Breed pouring billions of dollars to try to fix things, conditions are not getting any better. ABC 7 News reporter Suzanne Fawn has more.
Former Mayor Frank Jordan spent years trying to crack down on the homeless problem in the 90s. He was mayor between 1992 and 96. And this week he told California Insider that Mayor London Breed's efforts are simply not working.
When you look at our homeless issue, we've spent in the last 7 years $2.8 billion. Now that's in 7 years. Wow. And we're averaging now $700 million a year just on homeless. But when you break that down, nobody seems to know, is it 7,000 homeless or is it 17,000 homeless?
Jordan criticizes the mayor's efforts to put the homeless in local hotels for housing. He says 70% of the homeless have mental health, drug, and alcohol problems and need round-the-clock supervision.
They start fighting with people in the hallways or lighting fires in the room. So we have, I think, approximately 30 of those 70 hotels that are now suing the city because of the damage that's been caused in those hotels.
Jordan says we need to try something new.
I think you need mental health wards. You need group homes. And you have to have judges who will mandate 60, 90 days of care, not just 72 hours and put them back out on the street.
In the 90s, Jordan introduced the controversial Matrix program, using police to crack down on the crimes that homeless people were committing. More than 20,000 citations were issued. But critics say Jordan's program did not provide alternatives for homeless people.
I have found that no matter what policy I try to be sensitive and helpful to the homeless, there's always detractors out there that will find something wrong with the system.
Jordan criticizes Mayor Breed's current approach to getting unhoused people off the streets. He says too much money's been spent, and the problem only seems to be getting worse. Mayor Breed did not respond to the comments, but today we heard from the San Francisco Coalition on Homelessness.
We tried it Frank's way, and it didn't work. It was an abject failure. When Jordan was mayor, we had way more homeless people than we do today. So that didn't work. We tried it. It failed. Time to switch gears.
In San Francisco, Suzanne Fawn, ABC 7 News.
Yeah, it sounds like he wants to try the one flew over the cuckoo's nest method. And I don't like that at all.
Yeah, right. I don't know what's up what bug is up his butt right now, particularly that makes Frank Jordan want to come out and say these things about London Breed and how she's handling things. I don't think we're necessarily huge fans of how London Breed is handling anything in San Francisco right now. That being said, Frank Jordan needs to check himself before he wrecks himself with his own comments from back in the day when he's like, I'm sure there's people who will find my methods controversial and will complain. It's like, yeah, it's been pot meets kettle. But he's obviously one of those folks who's on the bandwagon of let's lock everyone who's mentally ill up, and not just for 3 days, but for forever. Let's put them away. Let's throw away the key, and that'll solve everything.
Yeah, I feel like, first of all, the facilities don't exist and if we wanted to do it, and if they were to be put together in a hurry, it would be much like that fucking movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It would Nurse Ratched and everything. It would be a bad scene. There are these people always, I think they have the car going the wrong way. I think that a lot of people who are on the street or without housing end up mentally ill as a result of their day-to-day anxiety, basically, of not being able to go somewhere and shut a fucking door and go to sleep, not being able to go into a bathroom, shut a door and take a shit, or shower, or both, if you run out of toilet paper. And I don't, this housing first is fine, but once somebody's already suffering mental illness from homelessness, there do need to be wraparound services that are helping people, but you got to put them somewhere first. And I'm not sure that a jail, essentially, that you're calling a mental health facility is the right place. I think that would increase many people's anxiety and exacerbate the situation. And then what are you going to force medicate people? I think that's got a pretty wicked, nasty history. And I feel like maybe a lot of the people that would be for that were just against vaccines. It's like,
and then what kind of space are you forcing people into, right? It's not as though we're building these, beautiful, robust resort style, rehab facilities, right? It's some government sponsored facility. It's going to be just rank. It's going to look like that spa in the day spa in Richmond. And that's not healthy and not the right thing to do either. So, we don't have you're right. We don't have the facilities at all for this, whether they're nice or not, but we're certainly not going to, be providing them with the top notch in customer service, right, and hospitality, because we just want to sweep them under the rug and get them out of the way. That's the whole point behind that policy, right? Not to actually help them, but to get them out of the way.
And yeah, like you were saying, if there were nice facilities where people could get some help, and then after that facility there were maybe not halfway houses, but transitional housing and stuff, I think a lot of people would go for it, to be perfectly honest. They're like, we're going to take you somewhere. Here's some pictures of it. You can leave anytime you want, but we're going to offer you 90 days and we're going to offer you treatment, try to see what's going on and see if we can help you. Is there any family we can contact so that people know where you're at? Your family's welcome to come visit. If it was that kind of thing, yeah, I think a lot of people would go for it, especially people who just fell down. Do you know what I'm saying? People who just lost their housing, if they knew that there was a place that they could go, even if it was like treatment focused, you're like, no, I don't really need treatment, but I can definitely, I have some stress, some anxiety about this. I did just lose my house. If there's someone here I can talk to and like a bed, I think a lot of people would go for it. It's just, you know what? That shit's expensive.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, a lot of this is, every solution is, and there needs to be layering of solutions to help a broad spectrum of folks. But I think you've hit on another important point in that it really, if you're going to focus, if you have to target the money, if you don't have the money to do everything, we don't have resources to do everything, and we don't. We can't solve homelessness, right, tomorrow or today or really ever. What you can do is target the people that are most vulnerable, the people that are on the cusp of being homeless, right, and the people who have just become homeless. And in that that narrow-ish target, you're going to find that you're going to be able to do the most good with your resources, right? Your resources are going to go to the most good because you're going to be keeping people either in their housing at that moment when it's just absolutely, critical, and protecting them from falling deeper into despair and true mental illness from being on the streets for too long, right? So if we can focus on those groups, getting people back into housing immediately, and rapid rehousing, right, they call it, and keeping people in their housing, that is at least one area where I think the focus could be upped.
And then once you do that, and that becomes the norm, and people start to see some good results from it, people in the city, taxpayers, whatever, might be inclined to give more money to that program to try to expand who they're helping. Because I think I think like, keeping people who are about to be evicted in their homes is it's a good way to reduce that number long term. But then you don't get to round anybody up. You just get to go help somebody.
Right. Like, but there's a lot of people trying to do a lot of good things in this space. Don't get us wrong here. And everyone's trying to do what they can, and no one has all the answers. So, like, I don't want to vilify London Bridge.
And this is never going to happen, right? Imagine you get an eviction notice comes to the county, and the first thing the county does is says, okay, this person owes X amount of money. What if we backstop half of that right now? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, just something. I just imagine that there's ways in which they you backstop this, and you'd have to get the state or the feds involved and be like, we're going to give you here's a voucher for like a tax credit or some shit, or
But during the pandemic, right, and somewhat afterwards, and that they've extended them as long as they could, but there were no eviction ordinances, anti-eviction ordinances, and they were using ARPA money, like relief money, to backstop it, right, to back up that, and so the government could help people pay the rent. And now that's all expired and drawn and spent, right, and dried up. So now folks are looking at, and they're less likely, city councils and governments are less likely to approve or extend no eviction ordinances, because God forbid, the housing providers need to make their money. So right now they're looking at a cascade of new unhoused folks as the bills come due, and landlords are giving people the boot when they couldn't before, right? So there have been policies in place like that, but they need to be funded consistently and sustainably.
Yep. Well, we're going to move on to a Downballot, aka Recall Watch, where we, this is obviously a political and news show, but this stuff is more specifically political and more likely to be about local government meetings and local elections and things like that. So here's our first one. Oakland residents rattled by recent violence ahead of town hall with district attorney. It's all around the world. It's the same fucking story.
Embattled district attorney.
Sure have seen a lot of wild videos out of Oakland, and tonight another one of a very violent and very disturbing robbery that ended with the woman being dragged on the street, as you saw. A community activist showed this to us, saying this is another example of what is all too common in Oakland. That happened just a few days ago, and earlier this month, security video caught this: a driver peeling into an intersection and a person firing a gun out of the window right in the middle of a neighborhood. So let's bring in Betty Yu. So Betty,
seemed they were chasing someone.
Coming off a really violent 36 hours in Oakland.
That's right, Sarah. There have been 4 homicides in Oakland since Sunday. And one longtime resident today I spoke with said he's angry and fed up with this senseless violence and wants the mayor and DA to do more. The most recent deadly shooting in Oakland happened just before 5 p.m. Monday at High Street near a gas station next to 880. Paramedics responded, but the victim was pronounced dead a short time later.
Everyone's saying the same thing who's not gaslighting people. It's never been this unsafe. It's never looked this bad.
Seneca Scott, a resident.
I'd like to introduce you to the year 1987, sir.
Oakland wants to raise awareness about what he calls the city's public safety crisis. He shared video of this brazen purse snatching caught on camera at 17th and International last Wednesday. After knocking a woman to the ground, the robber drags her across the road. Earlier this month, another camera captured a passenger firing a gun at a car just ahead of it at 86th Avenue near Bancroft. Police said no one was injured, but several cars were hit.
It's very scary. We have lost rule of law. There are several cities across America who are going through a very similar crisis. The common denominator of every one of these cities are dominant progressive city councils and progressive DAs.
Oakland police data this week shows the biggest increases in crimes compared to the same time period last year are seen in robberies, burglaries, and car thefts. This Saturday, there will be
That's a 6-day window, right? There's lying, there's damn lies, and then there's statistics.
Yeah, and I'm going to take nothing that other dude said was true for 5,000. Ken, that was just it was such bullshit. Just lay it on the progressives.
Price, who is facing a recall less than a year into office.
There is a balance between criminal justice reform and making sure that people are safe. When you say that your department is not responsible or has no control, that's absolutely untrue.
A community safety meeting is planned for early September. Mayor Sheng Tao is also expected to attend.
Our mayor has disappeared. She's absolutely ghosted her city.
So that town hall you just saw, that's taking place, Sarah, this Saturday at 1 p.m. and it's happening at Cornerstone Missionary Baptist.
Why do they have to keep re-victimizing that woman by showing that fucking video over and over again?
Pamela Price did one of these public meetings, community meetings. She was up in the hills in Oakland. There was a long line to get in. She faced a lot of tough questions from some very upset people
in the hills,
crime concerns specifically. And now she has this recall effort that's going against her. So what does she need to do here in a public-facing political sense?
Well, tonight we asked a political expert that very question, and he says that she needs to use this opportunity right now.
Producer Dave, did they ask you?
Messaging. This is his advice.
I would tell her to realize that she has a much larger audience than the crowd that is angry at her, and that she needed to message and continue to remind the people, I'm trying to fix a broken system. What I'm being credited with is more of that inherited broken system. I need time to make the changes and reforms that I want to make. And I think she needs to remind people that, she didn't create this situation. She inherited it. She hasn't been in power long enough to be responsible for most of these cases.
And again, Pam Price will also be having another meeting in 2 weeks where she will be addressing these public safety issues. Mayor Sheng Tao will be at that meeting as well as Seneca.
Okay, so we'll have to see how they interact, what they say, and what the public response is. Betty, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
So I'm curious if the woman they showed that they re-brutalized several times, they showed was attacked. I'm curious if she might have been a sex worker, and if maybe people would have treated her poorly if they saw her walking down the street. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I don't know. The video was grainy. The video was grainy, and it's hot out. But I mean, she was wearing some pretty short shorts. Yeah. I'm trying to be careful here, right? Because I don't want to. Of course. I don't want to be. I don't want to get clipped. I don't want to get clipped and canceled here. But I just wonder, if that was a situation, let's not propose that she was. Let's say that in a hypothetical situation where that person was a sex worker, she would have been targeted because the assailants would believe that the law enforcement would be less inclined to help her.
But very, very polite of them to drag her out of the way of oncoming traffic. That was very nice of them to do that. But yeah, no, that's I didn't need to see that like over and over again. You're exactly right. There's just no need for that. There's plenty of other B-roll you could show if you really needed to prolong the story and you didn't get enough footage or interviews or do an actual journalism.
I mean, would they run it 5 times?
At least, and back to back too, not sort of like, oh, this was on a loop with other footage, right? This is just on its own loop. Didn't need that at all, right?
Wait, why did they have it on the TV just on loop behind them while they were casually discussing the details of a meeting that was going to happen? But they could have put like the info about the meeting on the TV or a picture of the DA.
It's not dynamic enough content, producer Dave. You need dynamic content. You need things like, look what I've got here going on. I've got like the lives for bribe above bribe sign, and got like this, a screen print going on. I've got this certificate for the good wife, and over here the horchata sign, right? Like I got some dynamism. I got some bobbleheads. I would go over there and bang the bobbleheads. I've even got like the buttons, right? I got things going on here. It's exactly, it says bullshit. But yeah, so I've got the dynamism going. You need dynamism.
All I have behind me is gorgeous lighting.
Dude, it's going to be fly if you have like a green screen or a white screen.
Oh, we can't hear you. You're not talking into your microphone.
Oh, sorry. If you had like a nice green screen, you could do some like cats or donkeys or goats in your backdrop there.
Absolutely no green screen. More trouble.
No
than
green
it's worth.
screen. White screen.
I hate the way they look. Unless
Projection,
they're perfect, they look like shit.
Oh, then do like projection, like at the old Pink Floyd and Grateful Dead shows. Do like some sort of weird psychedelic projection.
So we had mentioned housing in San Francisco before, and this is pretty interesting. The Palo Alto of all places has voted for a new protection for tenants, for renters. So let's see what's going on over there.
Yes.
Renters make up nearly half the population of Palo Alto, and now the city is poised to extend them new protections that go even further than the state. But as Devin Feely reports, critics say they aren't necessary and could even be harmful.
What is the best way? What is the fairest way to balance the rights of a property owner, a landlord, with that of their tenant? But the Palo Alto City Council is about to expand what's known as just cause eviction protections. Some people on one side of the issue say that's long overdue. Some property owners say it goes too far.
For a small property owner, it's a burden.
Benjamin Sitz has been helping to manage his family's 2 rental properties for the past 20 years. He says he doesn't understand why Palo Alto is now considering renter protections far greater than what's already provided by state law.
I think that the city needs to be careful about enacting additional regulations beyond those that the state has already enacted without demonstrating a clear need.
Under current state law, just cause eviction protections kick in after someone's lived in a rental property for a year. Palo Alto's law would shorten that to 6 months. Basically, a landlord at that point would have to demonstrate there was a reason for evicting their tenant, like not paying the rent or damaging the unit. And tenants who are evicted for what's known as no fault of their own, like the building was just being renovated, well, they're entitled to rental assistance and moving expenses.
Every person who lives here should have stability.
Angie Evans is a co-founder of the Palo Alto Renters Association and says the new protections are much needed, especially in the face of an affordable housing crisis.
We are seeing every single month good tenants that are acting in good faith evicted by bad actors.
But a spokesperson for the California Apartment Association says the underlying problem is the lack of affordable housing, something this new law will not fix. In a prepared statement, he wrote, "The Palo Alto City Council should be focused on ensuring more affordable homes are built, rather than adding more red tape and regulations."
If they break their lease, you can still evict tenants who are problematic for you.
Benjamin says he understands in principle what the city council is trying to accomplish, but fears it will hurt property owners as much as it helps renters.
A property owner.
Well, that sounds fair.
Whether the tenant, whether there's a serious issue involving the tenant for a period of 6 months.
Even some property owners who agree with this change in principle say that they believe that small property owners, people who have 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 units for rent, should be exempted from the city's policy.
Okay, so the Palo Alto City Council passed the ordinance 2 weeks ago. It is supposed to officially adopt it with a second reading tonight.
So you know what I think? You know that guy that manages 2 properties. You know what? He should maybe have some little less avocado toast. Maybe skip one of them lattes every once in a while.
I think he'll be fine. The violin over here is playing for him, though. I'll keep playing it. But yeah, the housing providers, they're at the end of the day, the young-ish lady, the lady from the Renters Association, the nice woke lady from Palo Alto, she's right. You can still, even with the ordinances like these that exist in San Jose and other cities, you can still evict tenants and problem tenants if they're not paying the rent, if they're not doing the things that their rental contract that they signed, ostensibly, if you're a really flaky rental manager. Anything, if they're breaking their contract, you can absolutely evict them. It's not what this is about. This is about just cause, right? That is just cause, right? So you can't evict them without just cause. You can't just say, oh, I need to clear the unit because I want to make more money because you guys can't pay as much as I can get from the next person to rent this place. Or I'm going to evict you because I want to tear it down and build condos or fancy new condos and sell them, right? Like, you can't do that willy-nilly. You need to provide some sort of protections and some support for your tenants. And realistically, if you are a property manager and you're going to continue managing your property, do you really want to be evicting people? Like, you want good tenants, you want reliable tenants. You don't want to be going around evicting people willy-nilly. You want people who pay the rent on time, no matter how much they're paying. Frankly, they pay it on the first of the month every month, and they don't cause problems. That's the kind of renters you want. So I wouldn't be so super worried about this, because you never know what you're going to get with the next renter, right? We can allow you to kick people out, but you never know what you're going to get with the next one. So
you might,
heads up.
You get somebody who's just fucking annoying, who follows all the things on the lease, but it's like, there's a crack in my ceiling. You need to fix the crack in my ceiling.
Sure.
And you're entitled to that, by the way, as a renter. I don't want to suggest to you that if you're renting a space and there's something wrong with the property, that you shouldn't get it remedied. In fact, when we signed the lease for the place in Campbell, the property manager was like, no matter how small you might think the problem is, you call me immediately. She's like, that's the thing that you guys might do that might make me mad. Because if we come for one thing and we see 2 other things that you didn't call about, we're going to be mad. She's like, because these things just get worse. And so
absolutely.
Like immediately, like 2 weeks in, we noticed like a small crack in the window for the kitchen. I was like, hey, there's just this really small crack in the window in the kitchen. And she's like, thank you for calling. And then they came out and replaced the window on the kitchen and the living room and every bedroom but mine. And I was like, what about my bedroom? She's like, nothing wrong with your window. And I'm like, well, fuck. But, there was a situation where where I noticed a little water in front of the fridge, and I was like, hey, I don't know if maybe one of us spilled something, but there's water in front of the fridge. She's like, if it's right in front of the fridge, it's probably coming from the fridge. She's like, what time are you off work? I'm like, oh, I can leave now. She's like, lucky you. She's like, when will you get home? And then they came, and it turned out the fucking refrigerator was leaking, and they replaced the fucking refrigerator. And it's like, and then I moved to the next place, and we couldn't get the person to do shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, it's people kind of have it flipped upside down a little bit. Like, if you're renting from an individual, it's going to be like pulling teeth sometimes to get them to do things for you, especially if they think they're minor inconveniences or if they're very expensive. But if it's like a big property management company with a good reputation, they know the law, and they're there to protect the property owner from getting in trouble with the law. And in turn, and just as a function of that, they end up protecting you from a bunch of bullshit. But also, fuck landlords. Like, that dude who's like, oh, I have to manage these 2 properties. What I wanted to find out is, do you have a day job? Is this what you do?
Probably not at that point. These are, retirement investments for some folks, right? Or, these are their profession is managing these 1 or 2 properties. Yeah, of course. That's fine. No one's coming for your job. No one's coming for your property. No one's even coming to lower your rents or do anything to impede your ability to make money, to make a profit even. We're just asking that you don't kick people out for no reason. That's reasonable. Like the people that lived it, as soon as my place, the house, the fourplex I was living in Campbell sold, like the person who bought it was
immediately plotting and scheming to kick everybody out and fucking lay down Pergo and fucking turn those into luxury apartments. And that's what they are now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. So it's good to have protections in place so that they can't just give you the boot.
Yep. All right. We got another thing. This looks
one more thing.
This is adorable. So somebody owns a pet store. They're maybe done with their pet store, but they're like, this pet store should stay here, and I'm not even going to charge you to buy this business from me. But there is a catch, and I am worried that the catch is going to be a problem, just because of the nature of, just because of the way the world is, and
the catch of the day.
Oh man,
I don't know.
Anyway, let's see what's going on here.
A pet store in Chinatown has been around for 2 generations. The owner says it's his life's work, but now he's at the end of his leash and he's ready to give the business away for free. But as Itai Had reports, this is a tale that has a twist.
You could say talking to reporters isn't exactly John Chan's favorite thing.
I'm not good in camera.
But when it comes to
You look pretty good if he's both retirement age.
Ooh, you're too loud.
They actually listen.
Too loud.
And why wouldn't they? Since he was little, he spent every spare moment at his father's store in Chinatown called Pet Central. After his dad retired, John took over, tending to exotic pets, from birds to reptiles to fish.
When you come to the store and you see all the animals looking for you, dancing in front of you, that's the most important moment.
Aww. For more than 40 years, he's been working 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, never taking so much as a couple of days vacation. But now, at 58, he's looking to retire and spend more time with the family. Which is why recently he posted an ad on social media looking for someone to take over the business. The ad read, looking for someone who loves animals, asking price $0. Which brings us back to the store and the most burning question: why?
We are not trying to make money on the pet store, but we want to find the good people, good people with a good heart, take good care of an animal. That's the most important thing.
It's not completely free. While John says the business is worth about $300,000, he's hoping to recoup the inventory, which is about half that.
Our pet store is a good life, pretty fun.
He says the idea is to find someone who'll take care of his beloved animals and loyal customers. Andrew Brown, one of his regulars, says this is the end of an era.
I can only say it's very iconic of him.
As for John, he's already making plans for the future.
Take a long time vacation, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a month.
But first, quite literally, he has to give away the store.
Have a good one. John tells Itai he still hasn't found the right candidate, but he's already got a few people asking.
All right, let's shut down the podcast and go run a fucking pet store in San Francisco, Councilman.
Absolutely. We could run like a little closet consulting firm out at the back, right? And we offer, we send people out with goldfish to, knock doors, right? They leave a flyer and a goldfish and a little card. Oh, it'd be glorious. Let's do it. I love this idea.
Fantastic. Well, as always, I'm going to ask if you don't mind reading out the show.
Oh, well, why not? Well, hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us on our new old new night of Tuesday. We hope to see you next Tuesday. 7:30 p.m. Pacific. And we'll bring you all the latest in local derp. We'll probably have a little update from City of San Jose and other environs in our area. Please send us all the derp you can. If you're in the Discord, go to Bay Area News and drop it in there. Or just, hit us up on the website or in the emails. And remember to stay tuned tonight for public comment with producer Dave and friends, and send him links as always. If you're out and about, make sure you get vaxxed. Make sure you're wearing a mask, and if you're wearing pants, that's totally up to you. Okay, so listen to Audible Smoke. They're going to sing about FTB, and we're going to piece it out and see you next week. Peace out.
get the party started. Pick up my phone just to check and see who's calling. Dress up real nice for the ladies at the bar, and I'm driving in my car just to get to where they are. Here at the local scene is where I plant my feet. It's where I smoke my cigarette and I hold my drink. I look at all my friends, they're all blazing greens. Here at the front of the stage, waiting for MTV. Where are those guys who's standing next to me with a pipe in his hand, ready to blaze for me? About 5 minutes later, we're all singing Queen. I get the fuck up on stage, man, rock the scene. Yeah, we do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. I turn and head back to the bar for a refill, man, because you know where we are. We're headed out to the car to smoke another one and another one. Now just when the magic starts kicking in, I hear relapse playing, you know it's time to head in. Alright everybody, now it's time to grab a new drink. Spark it if you got it and then pass it to me. Yeah, we do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. Last up on the bill for the show tonight is Down and Dirty at 5, so we're headed outside to spark up another joint. Now who's got my lighter? Stoner E, of course, shouldn't you be inside? I'm all up in this bitch, being who I gotta be. I'm fucked up like the US economy. The truth is that I don't think logically. Stoner E take you on a psychedelic odyssey. Now inside motherfuckers is rocking me, and outside shit we smoke a lot of broccoli. Rocky the roller, yo, that sexy girl be jocking me. Ain't too drunk to fuck, but I'll probably do it sloppily. We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy the band, enjoy the band. We do what we want to do, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Molly say that he like jamming, and he hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Well, Bob Marley said that he like jamming, and he hope he like jamming too. Well, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yes, I gotta say, thank you, Bob, we do. Yeah, we do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. We do what we want, and what we want to do, what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. We do what we want to do, what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band. Enjoy that band. We do what we want, and what we want is to jam. So sit back and enjoy the band.
Friday nights at 9 p.m. it's time to sit back, relax, and play Conspiracy Bingo with Echoplex Media. We've curated the best conspiracy theorists the internet has to offer and turned it into a live bingo game you can play for free with absolutely no prizes but bragging rights. You won't find a live stream like this anywhere else, and that's probably better for everyone else's mental health. Tune in every Friday at 9 p.m. Pacific at twitch.tv/EchoplexMedia and find our full schedule at echoplexmedia.com.